In the last video, we were talking about marginal cost pricing policy, and in this video, we're going to talk about average cost pricing policy. So the before situation is exactly the same as in the last video. This is just kind of your stereotypical monopoly diagram. The monopoly is going to choose to produce where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, which is right here. They will produce this many units. This is the quantity unregulated. And they will then go up to demand and over to find price. So this will be the price that they charge if they are unregulated. Now, because of the dead weight loss of monopoly, another possibility is to enforce an average cost pricing policy, which is to say that we are going to force price to be where average total cost is equal to demand. And in other words, demand is also average revenue, remember. So in this diagram, that is this point right here, where average total cost is equal to demand. And I got ahead of myself just a little bit, so we should force price to be where average total cost is equal to demand or less. So this is going to be the ceiling of the price right here. This will be the price ceiling. And then from there, we're going to have to face this normal demand curve right here, just the last part of the demand curve. So in yellow, this will be demand 1. This will be our new demand. Now, just like in the last video, we're going to have to find our new marginal revenue, which is going to be this straight line, and then it's going to go down at the same slope as the old marginal revenue, but from that point. And I haven't shown you that, but I'm going to leave you to do that on your own if you want to, and it's not really that critical if you don't. So now the monopolist is going to again produce where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. And that will be this point right here, where the new marginal revenue line, the red line, is equal to marginal cost, this line right here. Now the problem is that if they produce here, they're going to go up to the demand line to find their price, and they're going to see that they are making a loss, because this is the price that they could charge, and then these are their costs right here. So they would make a loss, and sorry I didn't draw that very straight, so they would make a loss of this rectangle. And so we know that if they make a loss in the long run, they're going to go out of business. So there's actually one other option here that basically works because we're messing with this marginal revenue, curve. So they aren't going to produce where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost because they make a loss. And hopefully that's clear. If it's not, let me know, or go back and watch that a couple more times and just kind of reinforce that they're making a loss, because if they produce here, they can only charge this much, because otherwise people don't want to pay more, because that's where the demand line is. But their costs are still all the way up here, so they make a loss there. So the other option is to produce exactly where marginal revenue is equal to demand is equal to average total cost at this point. And the reason that they don't produce higher, or that they don't produce less, is that they can't charge this rate. They can't charge above the yellow line. So producing here and charging this makes no sense because they can't charge that. On the other hand, if they produce anywhere out here, if they produce kind of from this line over to this line, then demand is going to be below average total cost. So that means that they make a loss. So they aren't going to produce to the right. They aren't going to produce to the left because they make a loss there also. So the only option that they have is to produce right here. And so this we'll just label point A. And so they'll produce at point A, they'll charge this price, and they will make this quantity. Now this whole graph looks really funky to you, and it should. If it looks normal to you and you're not kind of looking at this like, wait, how does that work? Then you need to go back and look at it again, because this should look a little weird to you. So here's the problem. They can't produce where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost and make a profit because of this regulation. The only option, the best option that they have, is to produce where average total cost is equal to demand and is equal to marginal revenue. This point right here. And that's weird. That's really, really weird for a monopoly. So the other thing that's weird is that this monopoly earns zero economic profit. So this is a key point and is one of the reasons that we don't like average cost pricing policy. So zero economic profit. Now, in perfect competition, we think that this is a good thing, that all the firms just earn just as much as they could in any other business. The reason that it's a bad thing in this situation is that if you know that regulators are going to just change your price up and down so that no matter what you earn zero economic profit, you're not going to try. You're not going to try hard. Because you know that no matter how good of a job you do at running this business, you're not going to make profit. So there's no point to try hard. So that's one of the critiques of average cost pricing policy. In reality, there's a lot of other ones that I'm not going to go into, but that's the biggest one. And with that, I really think that this is pretty much all you need to know about average cost pricing policy. That the government or the regulators or whoever you want to call it forces price to be equal to where average total cost is equal to demand or lower, and that because of this regulation, the monopoly then has to produce exactly where average total cost is equal to marginal revenue is equal to demand, this point labeled A. And that because of the regulation, they earn zero economic profit, and that gives them no incentives to try and make their business more efficient, to try and do anything better. So this is kind of the big reason that average cost pricing policy is kind of frowned upon in the real world, but it's actually used quite a bit, just with a couple little tweaks that we're not going to go into in this video. So that's all that I want to say on average cost pricing policy. Let me know if there's anything that wasn't clear.